It's James here from GoodGuitarist.com, and in today's lesson I'm going to show you a simplified strumming version of Fly Me to the Moon by Frank Sinatra. And this one's pretty chordy, so that's what we're going to be focusing on this whole time, is making simple and smooth chord transitions. We're going to use the whole strumming, we're going to use the same strumming pattern the entire time. And, you know, we've made it as simple as possible. There's no bar chords, nothing too tricky aside from the volume of chords here. If along the way you find that you need any extra help, I have a bunch of resources. There's my free ebook, which contains all the basics of chords and strumming. It's all about rhythm guitar. There's my complete beginner's course, which is like my ebook, but 100 times more stuff. Really gradual, step-by-step, you know, designed to take you from absolute beginner to a confident strummer. And I also have the chord chart for this available on my Patreon page. You can check that out as well. Anyways, let's just get started with a few of the chord shapes here. First, we have A minor 7. And if you're familiar with A minor, we're just taking our A minor shape and then we're taking our ring finger off of it. So we only have 2 fingers down. Then we're going to switch to a D minor shape. And we're basically going to take these 2 fingers and move them down that way. And then we can add our finger there on the 3rd fret of the B string to complete the shape. You can also do a D minor 7 if you're up for the challenge, where we bar the 1st fret of the top 2 strings and then we put our 2nd finger down on the 2nd fret of the G string. And that would sound a little bit more jazzy, you know, it'd fit the mood a bit better, but if you're not up for that, you can always just play the plain old D minor. Then we have a G chord, and I'm just gonna play it like this. 3rd fret of the thickest string, 3rd fret of the highest string, just with 2 fingers. Because that's gonna make our next switch a lot easier into our C major 7 chord. That's just a C chord, but I took off my 1st finger. So if you're familiar with the basic shapes, it's not too difficult so far. Let's recap. We're just gonna play the first 4 measures of the song. We start with A minor 7, then we move those 2 fingers over and we make our D minor shape. Then we go like that and we work our way into G. So you might need to practice going from D minor into G, and then C major 7. And you're welcome to play G any other way that you like, as long as you keep it consistent, you know. It doesn't really matter if you do it a specific way or not. It matters that you do it the same way over and over again so that you can build up consistent muscle memory and develop accuracy with your shapes. So let's take a moment and work our way through those 4 chord shapes, downstrokes only, starting off on A minor 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take a little break. 1, 2, get ready. 3, 4. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, 2. You can do it this way. And then C major 7. Right on, so that's basically half the song. We're gonna go between that little chord progression and then another one, which I'm gonna show you right now. First we have F, and we can play it this way. It's a simpler version of it. What we're doing here is we're skipping the 1st string, then we're gonna put our index on the 1st fret of the B string. Our middle goes on the 2nd fret of the G string. Then our pinky finger goes on the 3rd fret of the D string. And finally our ring finger just above it on the 3rd fret of the A string. I'm gonna let my thumb lightly touch the thickest string. It's nice to do this because then it's muted and it doesn't matter if you accidentally hit it. You know, some people, I've gotten some emails from some people saying that their thumb doesn't necessarily reach over the top, and that's fine. You know, you can just avoid strumming it, and that's the other way to, you know, get that string out of the picture, because ultimately we don't want that happening. And the highest string, you can leave it open and it actually sounds really nice in this context. You know, nice and airy, jazzy. It's F major 7 that way. But if it's muted, still sounds fine, you know, either way. So that's our F chord. Then we're going to go to a B half diminished chord. We're playing the 2nd fret of the A string with our 1st finger. Then we're going to put our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the next string. And then our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string. And that's like our D chord. So you could almost start it this way. You could start by playing a regular old D major chord, and then you move it over 1, 2 times. So that's the part I want you to put down first, because most people have the muscle memory for their D major chord. So we're putting it down here with our index on the 2nd fret of the A string, and then we add our pinky to the 3rd fret of the B string. So I want you to think about it that way. D chord plus pinky on the 3rd fret, and that's our B half diminished chord. And if your index finger lightly touches that string to mute it, that's great. That's very helpful. And then we're going to leave our pinky finger down. We're going to pivot off that finger into an E7 chord. So I'm making an E chord, and my pinky was the 7. It was already down from that previous chord. So we pivot, and I want you to practice just going between those 2 chord shapes. You know, these fingers are basically making like a D shape, and then they go to the E over and over again. And you might have to readjust where your thumb is as you switch, just so you can get the right leverage. You know, if you leave your thumb static, it's really hard to reach. You have to let it move a little bit, get your elbow in for that E chord. For the half diminished chord, your elbow goes out a little bit. See that? At least that's how it works with my anatomy. You know, everybody's a little bit different. Your arms might not have the same ratio of, you know, length between your fingers and your elbow or whatever, right? So go through it, find what feels comfortable on each of those shapes, and just go through the motions over and over again. And then finally, from that E7 chord, we go back to A minor 7, which we've already played. It's an easy transition from E7. You know, you just leave your 1st and 2nd finger down, and then you move it over. So let's recap with these chord shapes now. We have F, and then we switch to B half diminished, which is like a D chord plus our pinky there. And you'll probably have to go from F to that chord 1,000 times before it starts feeling comfortable, and that's fine. You know, that's what practice is for. So we go from F to B half diminished, leave our pinky down, E, and then A minor 7. So take a minute working your way through those 4 chords, because now we're going to play 4 downstrokes each, you know, and just practice transitioning between those ones, starting on F. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to F again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A minor. So there is one other chord shape that we have to learn to complete this tune, but we'll leave that for when we come across it. Now let's just take everything that we've learned so far and practice it downstrokes only in order. This is pretty much the song. There's just a couple little variations that we have to figure out, and then we'll have the entire thing. So, you know, even though it might look like we're only halfway through the lesson, this is pretty much the bulk of it. Let's try this out, starting off on A minor 7, downstrokes only. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. Again, starting on A minor 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. D minor 2, 3, 4. G 2, 3. C major 7. We leave our ring finger down for easy transition into F. B 2, 3, 4, and 1, All right, so we have enough of the chords down that we can take a look at the strumming pattern now. It goes like this. I'll do it a little bit slower. So we go down on beat 1, down up on beat 2, and then down on beat 3, down up on beat 4. So it's the same thing 2 times, you know, to fill up all 4 beats. First, I want you to work on the motions. Just each number either has a downstroke or a down up. You know, on 1 we went down, and then on 2 we went down up. So just do that a little bit, just going 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, down, up, down, down, up, and get used to it. And then from there, we can add a swing feeling to it. You know, there's kind of 2 universal feels. There's a straight feel, which is where it's really mechanical and everything's even. Down, down, up, down, down, up. You know, everything's like that. And then there's a swing feel where it's like the downstrokes are a bit longer. See how the downstrokes are longer? Down, down, up, down, down, up. And that's, you know, what you would use for like blues, country, jazz, you know, a swing feel. And there's swing music in jazz, and that's kind of where this comes from. You know, this is many years later. But basically, we take that feeling where the downstrokes are longer, and we add it to our pattern. So we go down, down, up, down, down, up. You know, and that gives it the right feeling for the tune. So let's just try that a little bit. I'm going to go like this. I want you to just do that with me. Down, up, down. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. And then you apply that to your pattern. And once you're comfortable with that, try it over each of the chord shapes, you know, get used to it. We can put it together with our progression. Let's do it. Starting on A minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is definitely the hardest part of the tune, getting through the first 8 measures. At this point, we're just going to be reusing some chord shapes. There's one more shape that we have to learn that's super easy. Let's just take a look at the next 4 measures. We're going to go D minor, G, C, which we've already done this exact sequence before. You know, before we went A minor, D minor, G, C. Now we're basically chopping off the A minor. We're left with D minor, then we go to A7. So let's check that out. From C major 7, we can leave our middle finger down, and then we put our ring finger on the 2nd fret of the B string. That gives us A7. Work that out a little bit, and then we can put it into our progression. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to do almost the same thing, except instead of going to A7 at the end, we're going to go to E7. So D minor, G, C, E this time. Take a sec, work your way from C major 7 to E7, and then we can put that into our progression. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's put those 2 bits together. Nice and slow. You can always just watch this, see what's going on, and then try it with me afterwards. Starting on D minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you take that and you put it together with the first thing we practiced, that's the whole song. So let's do that now, nice and slow. You can always just watch it, see what's going on, and then try it with me after. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. So once you can do that, you're ready to play through the entire song. The only difference you're going to come across is in the second verse, we do not play E7 at the very end. So we just go D minor, G, C for 2 measures. And that's it. That's the only difference. So at this point, I recommend practicing what we just did a whole bunch of times, getting really comfortable with it, and then maybe loading up the original recording and just listening to it. Now that you can, do it on guitar, you'll be able to listen to it in a new way, and you'll be able to hear where the changes lie, sort of hear what's going on. It's going to be a little bit faster than what we were doing here. So it's going to take some getting used to, but at this point you are ready to start trying to play along with the original recording. And that's where you're going to get the most improvement, because those musicians are amazing, and their swing feel and all those things. By playing along with the recording, you're going to be able to tap into that stuff, so the dynamics, all of it, there's so much there. It's so much good stuff. So I want you to just practice the chord progression just like that. Try it along with the original recording. Other than that, there's not too much else to it. If you need any extra help, there's my free ebook, my complete beginner's course. There's the chord chart on the Patreon. You can always ask in the comments or send me an email. Otherwise, have a fun time practicing, and I'll see you soon.